In this episode, I really wanted to ask the burning question. Because everyone knows you can buy land, and once you buy the land, the common idea is that you can't get planning permission. How do I get planning permission to build on my land? And welcome back to another Smallholding Revolution podcast. I am Alan, and I'm at the beginning of my journey on acquiring some land, building a farming business, and building my home and lifestyle on my smallholding farm, or homestead if you are in the United States of America. This is David. He's on a different part of his journey.
Hi.
And where are you on your part of the journey?
About halfway through, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it in more detail, but we're up to the stage of getting the Caravan Act compliant building on the land. So, and starting to build up the agricultural business, which is quite exciting. About to buy my first tractor.
Oh, right.
Been working like a medieval peasant for the last year with hand tools in the rain and snow, but it's sunny now, so it's much better. But I'm thinking, need to gear this up quite a bit, and going to get myself a little compact tractor. Nothing too big, something light so it doesn't compress the soil.
All right. So how big is your land?
Well, the bit I'm actually going to be working on, which is the key bit, which is only about 4.5 acres, although the total land for the smallholding element is 13 acres.
All right.
Yeah. The land, the area of land goes beyond that, but the area of the smallholding is 13 acres.
13 acres.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. And Scotty, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Good. Fresh.
And where are you on our journey?
Well, I'm further in. I've been doing this journey for 10 years now. We've been on site for 10 years. Started with a static caravan, then a 2-bed bungalow, and we're just about to get our forever home in a beautiful 3-bed barn-ish building, which is fantastic. Made all of the mistakes. It's been a roller coaster, gone up, down, sideways, backwards, quite a bit as well. And hopefully I can share those mistakes and learnings with everybody and yourself to fast track you. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. So in this episode, I really wanted to ask the burning question. Because everyone knows you can buy land. And once you buy the land, common misconception? I don't know. The common idea is that you can't get planning permission to build on agricultural land. How do I get planning permission to build on my land?
So in the last episode, we talked about how to get permitted development to stay on the land on a temporary basis. So if you haven't watched that episode, it's a good idea to switch to the previous episode, which will be up there, I think, if you're on YouTube. I've seen people do that. Yeah. I've always wanted to do that.
Up there.
Or down there, or over there, somewhere anyway. So we talked in quite some detail about that, actually, but the question you've asked is how do you get planning permission for your permanent property, your forever home. Scotty will probably have more to say on this than myself, but essentially, if you follow the rules to do with an agricultural worker's dwelling, and that is, am I right, Scotty, on that? The agricultural worker's dwelling. Again, we talked quite a lot about the rule book, and it is about a set of rules, and there's some grey areas as well and interpretation areas, but the rules are, the bits of the rules that are clear need to be followed. And it's then possible to get an agricultural tied workers dwelling. So there will be a covenant on the granting of the land when you're successful, and it will state that it's an agricultural tie dwelling, and then there will be a certain list of conditions that have to be met if that land is transferred to a third party if you ever sell it. Now, if you're like us, looking to create a permanent home dwelling, homestead, smallholding site, then selling it is not really what you're doing it for. And people who are looking to develop a piece of land to sell on at a profit, this route probably isn't for you. And I say probably because you could obviously sell it in the future and you could probably benefit from that sale.
Yeah.
But your intent is quite important here. If that is your intent, you'll probably become unstuck. And don't want to get all ethereal about it, but the universe has a way of rewarding or amplifying intent, whatever it is. So best, if you're interested in that route, there's probably other ways, other safer ways to go. If you're interested in creating your forever home, homestead, or small holding for you to be on, and that is your genuine intent, then you should be able to do it following the points that we talked about in the earlier podcast, and then ticking off a number of other boxes, which Scotty can, I'll hand over to
let's just circle back on that, because I think you're dead right there. The way that we do it is the intent is to create a small holding, and there are parameters that you've got to do that. As you mentioned earlier, as we were speaking earlier, there is another way, which is the PF7 side of things. Is it the PDF7 or PF7 or 77 or something along those?
Exceptional house in the countryside.
Exactly that. Route. So you can...
That's set up for people who want to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's set up for people to be able to buy land in open countryside. I'm not going to say green belt or green space, but it's open countryside outside of settlement areas, which is a key consideration here, where your settlement area is, and we'll dive into that and how you can find that in a second. But if you're using innovative design, you can get planning permission.
Okay.
Now, for me, that raises a few concerns. What is quite subjective why it would be innovative. Some planners might say it has to be the first. So if there is already a piece of technology out there or a housing technology out there that's already been built, is that the first? Okay.
So it has to be like my own hobbit hole made of candy floss.
It could be. But this is the risk that you would go down if you're going to be going down this innovative design. That is a whole new ball game, something that I don't know anything about, but certainly looked at it and was like, that's really hard to do. It sounds expensive, it sounds hard, it sounds subjective, and now 10 years into my journey, would I put that power into Bedford Borough Council's hand? I would run 1,000 miles. They are incompetent at best. Negligent at standard and fraudulent in some parts. And I don't want to play with it.
Allegedly.
I can prove it. I can prove their fraudulence.
Yes, you can actually.
I've told you about that. You know, I can prove their fraudulence, and happy to share that as well on some of the journey. So there is those two different ways. But if your intent is to become a small holder, a homesteader, you're craving that freedom of creating a forever home on your own farm, 12.5 acres, over 12.5 acres, you can get planning permission. You're not going to be able to buy acres and acres and acres, split it up into little plots, into separate titles, and get a house on each one and sell it off. You're not going to be able to do
like an urban developer, that's just not
going to happen.
How do they do it then?
Well, the planning departments they extend boundaries and they allocate areas for development, and then it goes out to tender to development companies who bid for it. And it's whereas an acre of agricultural land, on average, I think we might have said it in episode 1, could be anything from £10,000 to £12,000, could be cheaper, a bit more expensive. The similar acreage with planning permission outside a big city, say like Manchester, Birmingham, London, Leeds, obviously more in London and Manchester, but it could be £1 million. Could be anything, you know, so it could be, you know, what's
like
that? 100 100 times more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's got planning permission for 20 houses that could be selling for, you know, £2 million each. If it's outside in London. So do you see what I mean? So the value of the land is significantly higher, but that's planning gain, and the councils are all involved in that, and people, ordinary individuals wouldn't be able to easily enter into that market unless you've got a load of money sitting around, and there's probably better things to spend your money on than getting in that game with the professionals who know what they're doing, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly that.
That's a whole different league.
So development companies, they call it prospecting. They'll buy a piece of land and then just wait for decades. Submitting applications as the policy changes, the local plan changes, and everything along those lines. Government changes. It's a long game.
All right.
Okay, they played a long game. They're sitting on a treasure chest of funds, and they land bank it and prospect it.
So I've come across that.
Right,
There's a
cool.
bit of land that I was looking at that's been developed over the last 3 or 4 years. And there were these massive great fields that I started to pursue who owned it. And I think the land registry, the last record showed that it was the councils. Spoke to the council. They're like, no, we've sold it to Barratt Homes. But Barratt Homes are doing nothing with it. It's still a massive field. There's been fields for the whole time I've known its existence.
And it's such a pity because it's not our area, but that land could have been divided by the council into individual plots and sold to individual self-builders, individuals. But these councils and government departments are always obsessed with keeping big corporate organisations. They work in cahoots together. They're not, even though they say they're here to support us, if that were the case, how come around every city and town there isn't an allocation for individual self-build plots for individuals? Why isn't there? Even based on the size of the place. If it's a town with 10,000 people, why not 1,000 self-build plots? If it's a town with 100,000, etc., etc. Why isn't there an annual supply? The government says we need more houses. Well, why not allocate?
Why don't you let people build their own houses?
Self-build plots for individuals. If the council owns the land, why don't they do that? And I
know why. Because they know that the council planning departments are terrible.
Yeah.
They are. They know the system is broken. It doesn't work. Yeah. In Bedford, there was a 4,000 acre site earmarked. Brownfield site. It used to be the Stuartbury Brickworks for 4,000 new homes. Yeah. It wasn't 4,000 acre site. Sorry, it was 500 acres for 4,000 homes. Okay. Great. That's where the Barratts and everything and the lodge parks and whatever they'll divide up those lands and build those houses. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just been lost. Universal Studios have bought that land, and now it's going to be Universal Studios. Hopefully, still in consultation. I welcome it. I welcome it. I really do. I welcome that because thankfully, the local planning department has been taken out of the scenario. It's central government living up planning department is taking control of the Universal Studio project. And they might be some sensible people. And thankfully, it's come out of the local council. All right. The problem is, though, the local council are now got to find 4,000 other housing sites for 4,000 other homes. And as I've said, and I'll keep on repeating, they are incompetent at best. That is the biggest risk to development in this country, is the negligence of our planning system. It really, really is. We can do the big stuff, but we're going to keep on shunting it down the road because of the local planning departments cannot handle that type of transaction. They just can't.
They can't.
And the government know it. And that's why they took it away from them.
But also the government,
project,
so also the government is still, they took it away from them and then allocated it to a huge multinational corporation. They didn't go, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll divide it up into 500 units for individuals to go and build. We'll quickly pass the infrastructure plan. While we're sort of riffing a little bit, why don't the planning departments, why is there not a central government rule? It's something I've thought about for a while, but not really articulated. Why isn't there a central government rule that says that every development that a Barratt Homes or one of these big homes company get, where they get the opportunity to build 500 homes.
Yeah.
Why isn't there a rule that says in the middle of that development, they have to allow a small holding of 12.5 acres, where someone can start a small farm, grow local food, because around there's going to be
Start
500 or 1,000 houses.
Viva la revolution, baby!
Viva the revolution! They can feed the local. People can walk to the farm shop.
And get
the children can see the animals.
Yeah.
They can experience it on their doorstep. Nutrient-rich food. Why don't they do that as part of the planning policy? If you build more than X number of houses, you have to allocate a proportion of that land as a small holding. And that is ultimately what I would love to lobby for once we've built. So if you're out there watching and you want to help us, join, subscribe. What do we say on YouTube? Subscribe, like, and all those other things. Share with all your friends, and we will start a movement, a revolution, to make sure that gets written into law eventually. You've heard it here first.
There we go. David for Prime Minister. No, David for President.
Me and Donald. Or is it Kamala?
So getting back to the real crux of it.
Bringing it back to either me or the typical average individual who's starting out this journey. How do we get planning permission? Because we've identified that one of the main issues is the planning office. And I initially thought it's because they just love saying no. But we're finding out that it's not because they love saying no, it's because they're not great at saying yes.
That is it, really.
You're dead right. I often say to people that it's actually the culture.
You've got to help them to say yes.
The culture of the planning departments that I've had contact with is no. What's the question? So you're dead right. Yeah. The culture of it. As I've said before, it shouldn't be a planning application. It should be a planning consultation.
Yeah.
Okay. Their job is to hit the government targets. But at the moment, they're not incentivised to hit those targets at all. So it's a planning application. They're the middleman stopping us hitting targets. It's plain to see, and no one's doing anything about it. So how do we do it? The rule book is there already. Okay, play within the rules. Okay, so we're all entrepreneurs. Find the rule book, innovate, create new business models, play the game when you need to play the game, and use sportsmanship and innovation and the rest of our teammates when we need to.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're the basic principles here. So the rule book, 12.5 acres. You need over 12.5 acres.
Under control, not
under
necessarily
control.
ownership.
Under control. We've said that on the previous podcast. Okay, so how do we get planning? You need to hit the functional and financial thresholds. And we can dive into those, and we share templates on the website and stuff like that for that. Within 1 year, you need to make £17,000 net profit from your farm business.
Not within 1 year of acquiring the land, by the way, within a
12-month period.
Within an accounting year.
Okay.
Within an accounting period. Okay.
April to April for the typical business.
So bear in mind, if you've gone down the permitted development barn building route, then you've got 5 years to be able to stay. So within those 5 years, if you can hit your financial target, then that is usually the hardest one. If you tick all the others but you don't tick that, they won't give it. It's unlikely that they'll give it to you. So that one you do have to focus on, and we'll probably in another episode we'll talk about strategies to hit that.
And this is probably where I can do a lot more of the talking with innovative ideas, the farm, business, and that whole.
Look forward to that.
Yeah.
So at this point, you need to assess whether you have that business. Okay, if you've already generated that business and proven the need and the financial stability, you can go for permanent agricultural workers dwelling at that point. Okay. If you're not at that point and haven't proven the financial stability, but are working towards functionally needing to be there because you need your farm business. Okay, you need to get over that threshold. You can work towards that and apply for a temporary agricultural workers dwelling. Okay. Now, a temporary agricultural workers dwelling, you'll then have 3 years to get that £17,000 net profit.
Okay.
So you can either be on the land, stay in the Caravan Act compliant for 5 years, and within one of those, hit your financial goals.
Yep.
Or the way that I'm forced to do it is go on projections. I'm projecting that net profit. I'm projecting that my functional need will be there.
Yep.
The council need to give me temporary permission to stay in a Caravan Act compliant building and build my business.
Yep.
As soon as within an accounting year, I tick £17,000, that temporary status then goes to permanent.
Okay.
And that's it. Then you can apply. Well, in fact, does it automatically go to permanent, or do you then
You have to prove.
Okay.
You have to prove that you've hit those thresholds. You know, get an agricultural consultant around again to say you are needed there, and you need your accounts. Then by facto, they are the rules, and you will get your permanent planning permission.
So then
and that
alter the permissions.
and at that point, we can build.
So this agricultural consultant, because I like the detail of it all.
Yeah.
Who are they? Where do they cost? Where do they get this degree that says that they are
there's
professional farm boss?
There's agricultural colleges out there and agricultural universities that they dish out, you know, qualifications in those. I actually used a very good site, and I can't remember what it was called, but I put it on the site, and it was a directory of agricultural consultancy businesses.
All right.
And essentially, I put it out there. I need a functional financial test on my farm.
Okay.
And I had loads of replies.
Yeah.
And the one that was significant to me, I went, he sounds good.
Yeah.
You know, he comes from agriculture and everything along those lines.
So you kind of see their track history up in your farming persona.
See all of the letters after their names. Exactly.
I did my degree here and run a farm myself and
all of that.
Okay.
And then he assesses farms and he sells farms and everything along those lines. He buys and sells farms.
Incredible. Yeah.
So then he come for a cup of tea and a scone.
Okay.
So he come to Hill Farm, showed him the business plan, showed him what we were looking to do, and he actually explained to us, you're probably not going to get permanent agricultural workers dwelling right now because you haven't got the business.
Oh, right.
Because I haven't got the farm business going and hitting my financial things. He goes, you're probably not going to get it. Okay, you could, but probably not.
Yeah.
So then that information gets put to my planning consultant and say, can we change our planning application to a temporary agricultural workers dwelling?
Nice.
Because then that gives us 3 years to deliver the plan that I've got.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, that report from the agricultural consultant was given with my planning application. Here's the funny bit. I had outline planning from an agricultural workers dwelling refused.
Okay.
Because I used my business plan to prove my functional and financial need.
Interesting.
The policy team on the council said no.
Because you used your business plan.
Because I used my business plan.
Okay. What were you supposed to
I've got proof that they didn't actually read it, but that's beside the point, right? That's beside the point. This is an overall story here, right? But I've gone, right, okay, that's refused. Then I've met my agricultural consultant and gone, I need a functional financial test because these idiots aren't listening to me. Okay? So he's wrote a report on my business plan, okay? And I submitted that report with my new application.
Yeah.
Guess what the policy team did?
Go on.
No comment. You passed. So it's this. So because he's got letters after his name, okay, they listened to him.
Yeah.
He wrote a report on my business plan that they told me wasn't good enough.
Okay. So no difference to the plan other than
someone with letters said.
Someone with letters after their name.
Interesting.
Very interesting, right? And this is the game that we're playing. This is the lessons that we're going to learn. Okay, you're going to get that slap in the face.
Yeah.
It's not going to be happy path.
Okay.
You're going to have to bob and weave. You're going to have to problem solve. You're going to have to spend money and time and heartache and tears and stress.
And it shouldn't be that way, but it is what it is.
But it is what it is.
If you, it's a bit of a trite phrase, but the point is that if you go, well, it's not fair, it shouldn't be like this, but then you're not going to get anywhere.
You're not going to survive in smallholding if you have that attitude.
If you go, I'm going to go climbing in the mountain, and on my way to the top, I'm going to meet some crevasses, and then I'm going to have to go back down, and then I'm going to have to change my route, and then I'm going to have to scale up a slightly different way. But I'll get to the top of the mountain as long as I keep going. And each challenge that I come up against, I overcome. And through human ingenuity and support from people who've been on that journey and are going on that journey, you'll get there.
Yeah.
As long as you don't give up. That's the simple thing.
Exactly that. Don't give up. Have an open mindset. Connect with good people. I wouldn't have got to this point where it looks like I'm going to get my planning permission by hook or by crook because of wouldn't have connected with David and I wouldn't have connected with you because you've added to that business plan that they said no to.
Yes.
The agricultural consultant said yes to, right? And now the policy team says you tick the box.
Yeah.
So the policy team have ticked the box. There's other shenanigans going on with the highways team, but we can go into that in a second.
Yeah.
But I'm showing you that the template is there for functional and financial need, and we'll put it onto the website for everybody to use, just to gauge how much effort they're going to be putting in as a smallholder.
Yeah. And this is a good moment to actually mention the website that we're talking about. So we're building an online community called the Smallholding Revolution. The website is going to be smallholdingrevolution.org. Join, set up your membership. There are miniature forums in there that allow you to talk about planning permission and finding land and different ways and different resources that you can, just tap into and contribute to and ask questions, because we are building a community to support each other to make this journey a bit smoother, because it's not clear. Because I tried to Google how to get planning permission and came up with very, very little. But we collectively are at various stages of the story, and each of us can contribute our little pieces to help you to be as successful as possible, and to make this dream of yours come true quicker than you can imagine.
Yeah, don't do it on your own.
Yes,
I did it on my own and failed. That made me really go cold and really excited. So thank you, my brother. That's just wonderful. That's just made me go cold. Just don't do it on your own. Please, it's really tough doing it on your own. Join the community, get the resources. It will save you a lot of heartache. We'll all try and add our experience and our time to those forums and help you out. Because if we can just help you develop your dream and help other people eat properly and be healthy and happy, that's our purpose.
Because it all operates by rules, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So let's build a template and let's build a structure that we can all springboard from and help you along. I mean, further down, I think we've had discussions about creating something that's more involved and more handheld to help people really smooth out that process, because not everybody has the time and energy capacity to walk through all of this. And we'll let you know as and when that's available. But for now, let's just build a community. Join us on smallholdingrevolution.org. And I think at that point, we'll call it a day on this particular episode. We shall see you on the next one, where we deep dive into more really, really interesting topics on how you can acquire your own land, build your farm business and your home, and live a free and liberated life and grow yourself to freedom.
Viva la revolution.
Viva la revolution.